When a genius scientist became obsessed with assembling corpses, he sought to create an immortal and invincible creature. This new being possessed not only superhuman strength, but also terrifying regenerative powers. Yet under the influence of his twisted mind, the creature turned against the humans he despised and began a vengeful rampage. And the first person he targeted was the scientist himself. When humanity becomes consumed by obsession and the monster learns to love, who then is the real monster? Across the endless snowfields of northern Europe, a warship bound for the front line was trapped in frozen seas due to extreme cold. To break free, Captain Anderson ordered all soldiers to disembark with tools and break the ice. But even after days of relentless effort, the warship remained stuck. That wasn't the worst part. If they couldn't escape within 3 days, their supplies would run out, and hundreds of soldiers would freeze or starve to death. Anderson had already prepared for the worst. If they couldn't break free by tomorrow, he would lead everyone on foot. But across the boundless white wilderness, even Anderson himself had no idea where they were. Just as he was debating whether to risk the march, shouting suddenly echoed from the deck. Thinking the ice had finally broken, Anderson rushed up, only to find the soldiers weren't celebrating. They were shouting toward the southwest. Raising his telescope, he saw a distant glow flickering on the icy plain. Believing there was a village nearby, Anderson quickly assembled a team to investigate. But when they arrived, their excitement turned to dread. The site held no village, only pools of blood and scattered limbs. While Anderson puzzled over the scene, a soldier spotted a severely wounded man nearby. The man wore a fur coat, clearly someone of high status. Anderson tried to question him, but the man was unconscious and couldn't respond. With no other choice, he ordered the soldiers to carry him back to the ship. Just then, a strange growl came from behind a nearby snow mound. Anderson turned and saw a massive dark figure emerging across the snowfield. As the shadow drew closer, Anderson's nerves tightened. He hurriedly led his men and the injured stranger back to the ship. But as they reached the hull, the soldiers realized the dark figure was chasing them. Anderson immediately ordered a defensive formation. At first, they thought it might be a wild animal, perhaps a bear, but as the figure approached, they saw it was a man, only unnaturally tall. Realizing the creature wasn't human, Anderson gave the order to open fire. Yet the monster didn't flinch. It charged straight at them, sending 2 soldiers flying with a single punch. Panic spread, and the soldiers scattered, but the creature didn't pursue them. Instead, it climbed the ladder toward the deck. There, it fixed its gaze on the man they had just rescued and declared it would take him away.
Bring him to me!
The soldiers swung clubs to drive it back, but they were no match. 2 were torn apart in seconds. Just then, the first officer grabbed a shotgun and fired. Seeing the creature collapse onto the ice, Anderson thought they had killed it. But to his shock, the monster was still alive. It turned and rushed toward the ladder, trying to climb onto the warship. Anderson quickly ordered the ladder removed. Unable to board, the creature began slamming against the hull. The massive warship shuddered violently under the impact. As it threatened to capsize, Anderson took the shotgun, aimed at the creature's feet, and blasted the ice beneath it. The ice cracked open, plunging the creature into the freezing sea. When it failed to resurface, Anderson believed the threat was over. Meanwhile, inside the ship, the rescued man awoke under the doctor's care. From his account, Anderson learned that the creature was a stitched-together creation, and the reason he and the creature ended up here traced back to an experiment. The man introduced himself as Victor Frankenstein, a biologist. Since childhood, Victor had been fascinated by the human body, always wondering how life was formed in a mother's womb. Driven by curiosity, he even built a human doll to study his theories. But in those times, science and technology were primitive. Despite his family's fortune from fertilizer production, Victor couldn't find a single mentor who understood anatomy. Fearing his son would abandon the family business for forbidden studies, Victor's father forbade him from pursuing such research. Though saddened, Victor dared not disobey. But when his mother suddenly passed away, at age 8, his obsession with life and death reignited. He dreamed of creating a miraculous medicine that could grant eternal life. Yet his father again condemned his ambitions.
You let her die, did you not?
I did everything in my power to save her. You must know that.
So you failed?
No one can conquer death.
I will. I will conquer it. Everything you know, I will know, and more.
Even under strict orders, Victor refused to abandon his dream. He often locked himself in his room, studying human anatomy day and night, with piles of books stacked into a small mountain. Over the years, his intellect made him a master of human biology, but buried in study, he had no chance to test his theories. Just as he prepared to ask his father for funding, tragedy struck again. His father died of sudden illness. The loss unleashed Victor's repressed desires once more. He renounced his inheritance and decided to leave home to pursue his research abroad. His younger brother William tried to stop him, but Victor's mind was set. After the funeral, Victor packed his notes and began his journey. In the years that followed, he traveled across nations, conducting human experiments. His unethical methods quickly sparked outrage. In France, he was arrested for his studies. Yet when confronted by the court, Victor showed no remorse. He even demonstrated his experiment before everyone.
It's not you. However, the flow of energy through the body follows a different notion entirely. An Eastern notion called chi. Now, it considers the...
As the human figure on the chair twitched to life, the judge and jury froze in disbelief. The judge couldn't comprehend such a morbid act and ordered Victor to stop his experiment immediately. But Victor believed the judge's thinking was outdated, and that people like him were the very reason science had stopped progressing. Because the case was so serious, the judge didn't deliver a verdict in court, and Victor was ordered to remain under house arrest, forbidden from conducting any further research. Helpless, Victor left the courtroom in disappointment. Just as he was debating whether to leave the country, a man suddenly stopped him. The man introduced himself as Harlander, an arms dealer. He said he had been sent by William to find Victor. William had now become a billionaire, with branches of his business spread across the world, and he was preparing to marry his fiancée, Elizabeth. But before the wedding, he wanted to see Victor in person. Harlander originally thought it would be just a casual meeting, but after witnessing Victor's creation in court, he became deeply intrigued. He took Victor to his mansion and, in a corner of his study, revealed his own research.
Flesh rendered onto wood. And the cadaver lies on the plank, is peeled away layer by layer, and the remaining tissue is lacquered with resin onto the wood. It showcases the lymphatic system. Muslim medics call that the secret circulatory system. It moves a mere 3 liters of fluid, but it's a vast network.
Oh, it's remarkable.
Yeah. Now, for us, for you, the important variation is here. The 9th configuration, very delicate, almost ethereal structures surrounding the heart. It can distribute, but also store energy.
It turned out Harlander was also obsessed with eternal life. He believed the reason humans die is because the energy stored in their bodies eventually runs out. As long as there was a constant supply of energy, humans could achieve immortality. So Harlander took a different approach. He studied human energy storage mechanisms and recorded his findings on wooden boards. But his research had stalled for years, until the hearing earlier that day reignited his hope. If Victor could combine his studies with Harlander's theory, they might truly overcome death. Harlander's words deeply excited Victor, and the two decided to join forces. At that moment, William arrived at the castle with his fiancée. Although the brothers hadn't seen each other for many years, there was no distance between them, and Victor congratulated William on his upcoming marriage. When William learned that his brother planned to collaborate with Harlander, he offered to join them. Though he didn't understand the science, he could provide the funding, and so the three formed an alliance and began a morally forbidden experiment. The next morning, William brought them to an abandoned mansion. The property belonged to him, but since it had been neglected for years, it had fallen into disrepair, making it the perfect place for their experiments. With a location and funding secured, all they needed now were test subjects. With Harlander's help, Victor went to a prison and selected several inmates who were awaiting execution. As soon as he returned to the castle, he eagerly began his research. However, the progress of the experiment was extremely slow. His creation refused to come to life, and the number of prisoners available was quickly running out. To ensure Victor had enough human bodies, Harlander turned his attention to the battlefield, where the corpses of fallen soldiers were sent to the castle in endless numbers. But after 6 long months, Victor's experiment still hadn't succeeded. Then, one day, an accident changed everything. At noon, while testing a new subject, Victor connected the wrong wires. He thought the body would be burned by the surge of electricity, but to his astonishment, it briefly came to life. Though it lasted only a few seconds, Victor was convinced he was just one step away from success. To create the perfect body, he went to the battlefield and chose several strong corpses, packing and transporting them back to the castle. Once in his lab, he began cutting off what he considered the most flawless parts of each body, sewing them together into one. After half a month of tireless work, he finally assembled a perfect human form. Just as he was inspecting it for flaws, thunder rumbled through the night sky. Realizing his opportunity had come, Victor quickly prepared his lightning apparatus to revive the body. But as he was setting up, Harlander arrived at the castle. It turned out the reason Harlander had funded Victor was because he was terminally ill. He had once met a mystic who told him he wouldn't die from his illness, so Harlander firmly believed Victor's experiment would work. In his desperate pursuit of eternal life, he wanted Victor to transplant his brain into the body, regardless of whether the corpse could be revived.
It starts to eat away my bones, orbital, cheek, teeth, jaw, skull, exposing my brain, tumors, madness, excruciating pain. One fine morning, I will start to scream, and I will never stop. I cannot face such a vulgar demise. Which brings me to my one condition, our deal, as agreed, in exchange for my generous intervention on your behalf. And as we give life to our new Adam, I want to be placed in this new perfect body.
No. No.
Yes,
Not now. Not now.
precisely now.
We'll talk about this after, not now.
There is no after.
But Victor insisted that his creation had to be perfect, and using Harlander's brain would taint it. Still, he wasn't completely heartless. He promised that if the experiment succeeded, he would use the next body for Harlander's transplant. But Harlander couldn't wait. His time was running out. Their disagreement escalated into a heated argument, and eventually, a physical struggle broke out. During the scuffle, Harlander accidentally fell from a high platform and died instantly. The sudden accident left Victor in shock, but before he could react, thunder boomed again outside. Not wanting to miss the chance, he set Harlander's body aside. He raised the lightning rod and connected the circuits. The moment Victor flipped the switch, a bolt of lightning struck down, channeling energy into the lab. As the current flowed through the body, Victor watched with anticipation, convinced that the creation would awaken. But after waiting for a long time, the corpse remained motionless. Only then did Victor realize the experiment had failed. Exhausted and defeated, he returned to his room and collapsed on his bed. But just as Victor was pondering what had gone wrong, a shadow suddenly appeared in the doorway of his bedroom. Seeing the experiment standing there, Victor froze completely. The creature slowly approached him, as if trying to reach out and touch him. Victor suddenly came to his senses, sat up from the bed, and stared at his creation in disbelief. After the initial excitement, he soon noticed a problem. He had indeed been brought back to life, but his intelligence seemed impaired, and he couldn't communicate. Though disappointed by this flaw, Victor didn't dwell on it. He began teaching the creature how to speak and to recognize his own name. After several days of practice, the creature actually learned how to talk. But just when Victor believed he had successfully created a new kind of human, another accident occurred. On one day, the creature accidentally cut himself. When Victor noticed, he rushed to bandage the wound, only to be shocked by what he saw. The creature possessed immense strength and terrifying regenerative power.
It's closed.
But how?
All right. No. Right.
For the first time, Victor felt fear. He realized that he seemed to have developed self-awareness. So, for his own safety, he locked him inside the deepest part of the tower. To study him further, Victor began testing his responses by guiding him through conscious actions. But soon, he discovered that he couldn't logically connect these actions. And the more he acted confused, the more Victor suspected he was deliberately hiding his awareness. When William learned his brother's experiment had succeeded, he brought Elizabeth to the castle. But upon seeing Victor's creation, Elizabeth wasn't frightened by his appearance. Instead, she curiously stepped closer. Her beauty caught his attention. For the first time, a look of confusion and longing appeared on his face. Unaware that he was an experiment, Elizabeth saw the chains and scars on his body and assumed Victor was keeping him captive. She pleaded with Victor to let him go. When Victor tried to explain, she couldn't understand his scientific reasoning. In her eyes, he was a man consumed by madness. That misunderstanding planted a seed of resentment in Victor's heart. He went to the tower intending to fix the creature. But this time, the once gentle being fought back fiercely.
Pain is evidence of intelligence, is it not? Well, let's test the theory. Give me your leg! 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 Come on! Give it to me, you beast! Give me your leg! Leg! Victor! Victor!
As Victor looked at the enraged creature, he suddenly realized a horrifying truth. He hadn't created life, but a monster. If he continued to evolve unchecked, he could bring about an unimaginable disaster. After much thought, Victor made a grave decision. He would destroy him. William had long doubted the experiment's ethics. He only funded his brother to help fulfill his dream. With William's approval, Victor no longer hesitated. He returned to the castle and poured gasoline throughout the tower. Once everything was ready, he struck a match and set the floor ablaze. The tower erupted into a sea of fire. But as he reached the doorway, Victor suddenly heard a desperate wail from within. It was him calling his name. The sound tore at Victor's heart. After all, that creation was his own work, his life's greatest achievement. After a painful moment of hesitation, he decided to let him live. But just as he turned back, the flames surged violently, knocking him to the ground with a wave of heat. Watching the castle collapse into ruins, Victor felt an overwhelming mix of regret and confusion. He was remorseful, yet he didn't believe what he'd done was wrong. But what Victor didn't know was that the creature had survived. Before the explosion, he had broken his shackles and escaped through the drainage tunnel. He wandered aimlessly through the forest, unsure where to go. While resting among the trees, a group of hunters stumbled upon him. Horrified by his grotesque appearance, they immediately opened fire, mistaking him for a monster. Fortunately, Victor had designed him with incredible strength and rapid healing. The bullets did little harm and his wounds closed almost instantly. Crossing the forest, he came upon a small cabin and hid in a corner to rest for the night. The next morning, he heard voices outside. Peeking through a crack in the door, he was shocked to see the same hunters who had chased him the day before. The cabin, it turned out, was their home. He didn't dare to run, so he hid in the corner of the sheep pen. When he grew hungry, he would sneak into the kitchen to steal some food, then hide again among the animals, whose bleating masked his presence. But his quiet days didn't last. One evening, a pack of wolves attacked the cabin, killing all the sheep. To survive, the hunters decided to take their wives and children deep into the forest to hunt, planning to return only after half a year. Because he was blind, an old man was left behind. That evening, as the creature stepped outside to find food, the old man suddenly called out to him.
Welcome, dear traveller. Do not think me ungrateful for the company if I ask you to procure a chair. I find it difficult being a good host. My sight.
Though the old man couldn't see, his hearing was exceptionally sharp, and he had long known that someone was hiding in the sheep pen. But since he had never harmed anyone, the old man believed he wasn't evil. To help him, the old man even left extra food in the kitchen. Hearing his kind words, he felt compassion for the first time in his life. And so, he stayed in the cabin, quietly living alongside the old man. He helped the old man with chores, washing clothes and cooking meals, and sometimes went hunting in the mountains. In return, the old man began teaching the creature to speak and read. After a few months, the creature could already express his thoughts fluently. One afternoon, the old man asked about the creature's past and his family, but the creature couldn't remember who he was. He only knew that his body was made of parts from many others. The old man thought he had lost his memory and encouraged him to search for his family, saying they might be looking for him too. Hearing those words, the creature's heart began to stir. He had no idea that the laboratory fire had been set by Victor and still believed it was an accident. The next morning, the creature returned to the castle, but the place had already turned to ruins, leaving only piles of shattered stones. Amid the wreckage, the creature accidentally found Victor's diary. From the notes inside, he finally learned the truth about his existence. He was not human at all, but a stitched-together being made from corpses. The shocking discovery made him understand why Victor had locked him away, because he truly was a monster. Heartbroken, he went back to the cabin, intending to stay by the old man's side forever. But when he reached the foot of the mountain, he found the area surrounded by wolves. Sensing danger, the creature rushed inside, only to discover the old man lying on the ground, barely breathing. Enraged, the creature went on a rampage, killing the wolves with his bare hands. After driving them off, he knelt beside the old man and confessed that he was a monster.
You came back.
I found what I am. What I am made from. I am the child of a charnel house. Wreckage. Assembled from refuse and the discarded dead. A monster.
I know what you are. A good man. And you are my friend.
Looking at the dying old man, the creature felt sadness for the first time. Just as he was about to bury him, the hunters suddenly returned. Seeing the blood-covered creature, they thought he had murdered their father and aimed their guns at him. Though he was shot several times, the creature didn't fight back. He knew they were the old man's sons. He staggered into the forest. But the hunters refused to let him go and chased after him. At a wooden frame by the edge of the woods, the creature collapsed into the snow, bleeding heavily. Believing him dead, the hunters didn't bother to check and soon left. Moments later, the creature came back to life again, his wounds closing completely. Remembering the old man's dying words, he decided to find Victor. Coincidentally, William's wedding was being held at another castle nearby, and the creature soon tracked Victor down by scent.
Are you here to thank me? You survived and are intelligent enough to have found me. I made you well.
I need you to make a companion for me. One like me.
A companion? I see.
When the creature asked Victor to create a companion for him, Victor immediately refused. The success of his experiment had not brought him pride, only fear. He had decided to abandon all forbidden research and never again cross the line of morality. Victor's rejection enraged the creature. He grabbed Victor by the collar and slammed him against the wall. The noise drew Elizabeth into the room. Seeing that the creature was still alive, she thought he had come for revenge. She tried to calm him, explaining that Victor had lost his leg in the fire while trying to save him. Hearing this, the creature's anger faded, but when he turned around, he saw Victor pick up a pistol from the floor.
Elizabeth, move away from it!
A gunshot rang out, and to Victor's horror, the one hit was Elizabeth. The sound of the shot brought William and his men rushing into the room. Seeing his fiancée dead in the creature's arms, William believed the monster had killed her for revenge. He ordered his men to open fire. Enraged beyond reason, the creature lost control, slaughtering everyone in his path. William was gravely injured in the chaos. But in the middle of the fight, the creature suddenly remembered the old man's words. He stopped, lifted Elizabeth in his arms, and left the castle. When Victor regained his senses, he found his dying brother. William begged him to avenge Elizabeth and himself, and to destroy the monster before it harmed anyone else. Determined to end his own creation once and for all, Victor hired a team of hunters and began searching the world for the creature. After countless battles, nearly all of Victor's men were killed or wounded. Inside a cave deep in the forest, Victor finally found the missing Elizabeth, but when he turned around, he saw the creature standing right behind him. The two of them began to fight in the cave, but Victor was no match for the creature and was quickly overpowered. Yet the creature didn't kill him. Instead, he chose to let him live. Unwilling to accept defeat, Victor grabbed his rifle and chased the creature out of the cave. The two began a deadly pursuit across the snowy wilderness. They ran through the forest, into the canyon, and from there, across the endless frozen plains. But even with his rifle, Victor was no match for the creature. He became nothing more than his prey. Whenever Victor stopped to rest, the creature would strike from the shadows, leaving him exhausted and unable to recover. When the creature caught him again, Victor used his last resort, a compound bomb. He detonated it, hoping to finally destroy the creature once and for all. But when the explosion cleared, Victor was horrified to see that the creature was completely unharmed. Only then did he realize what kind of terrifying being he had brought into existence. Even as Victor lay on the brink of death, the creature still refused to kill him. He wanted Victor to feel his loneliness, to suffer the same isolation he had endured, to die slowly, in despair. Just as Victor was about to take his final breath, Anderson and his men happened to arrive. And that was the scene we saw at the beginning of the film. Although Anderson managed to knock the creature into the sea, Victor knew he wasn't dead. He was certain the creature would return for him. Sure enough, while Anderson and his men were resting, the creature appeared once again. Looking at the monster he had created with his own hands, Victor no longer had the strength to resist. Despite his deep hatred, in his final moments, Victor spoke from the heart.
sorry.
Regret consumes me. And I now regard my life for what it was.
You will go now, Creator. Fade away. I forgive you.
Hearing Victor's words of regret, the creature's anger finally faded away. He forgave him and let go of his hatred. After Victor's death, he carried his body out of the cabin. When the soldiers saw him again, none of them dared to shoot. They could only watch as he carried Victor away. When he reached the ice, he stopped walking. He turned back toward the warship and, using his immense strength, pushed the vessel free from the frozen sea. Watching the ship break loose, Anderson was both stunned and grateful. In the end, he disappeared into the vast white wilderness, carrying Victor's body with him. No one ever discovered where they went, nor what he truly was. But tales of him spread among the soldiers, and from then on the legend of the snow monster echoed across the frozen north. And that concludes the 2025 thriller masterpiece, Frankenstein. See you in the next video.